Welcome to another international podcast on MetalWoche. The holiday season is in full swing and a new year is fast approaching. That is a time in the year where we all tend to look back, but also to look ahead. Therefore, we are glad that we are able to talk to Gerald Celente from Kingston, New York. Gerald is one of the top trend forecasters in the world. He is director of the TrendsResearchInstitute and editor and publisher of the TrendsJournal. Welcome back, Gerald. Good to have you with us.
Well, thanks for having me, Michael.
Gerald, the new TrendsJournal is out since last week, and we will have a closer look inside. Before we do that, I think we briefly have to talk about Nelson Mandela, who passed away. The memorial is all over the news. Political so-called leaders from many different countries were participating on Tuesday, December the 10th, to honor Mandela and his fight against apartheid in South Africa. Gerald, one may argue that this memorial is no place for political statements, only to come together, unified to honor a man for his life. On the other hand, in another part of the world, apartheid is the main topic. And to make the point clear here, Benjamin Netanyahu from Israel was not attending the memorial. What was the apartheid state of South Africa is now a apartheid state of Israel. But you hear nothing about this in the news. Therefore, what's on your mind, Gerald? Here is the Presidente de los Estados Unidos, Barack Obama, calling Nelson Mandela his hero.
Well, it's hypocrisy. And it's not only in the United States, as you mentioned. None of the media is comparing the brutal apartheid being committed against the Palestinians by Israel as it was the brutal apartheid that was committed against the blacks by the white South Africans. And when you also look at just what's going on in the news as the memorial for Mandela is going on, were they evacuating some 90,000 Bedouins out of their ancestral homes in the Negev desert? They've been there since the 7th century. And now they're putting them on, I guess you could call them reservations, as they did with the American Indians in the United States and brutalized them like that. And there's hardly any talk about it at all. And also when you listen to Obama's speech, or read it, at the memorial for Mandela, in between him taking selfies with Cameron to put over Twitter, he also mentions about how people have to be free and not be afraid of their governments. While we here in the United States, and everyone around the world virtually that means anything, we have the National Security Agency, the CIA, the FBI, you name it, the NSA, Homeland Security, they're watching everybody. It's an exercise in hypocrisy. Obama called Mandela a giant of a man. I call Obama a giant of a con man. America's greatest commander-in-chief in the modern history of the United States. For example, when you watch George Bush lie, you can see it. Same thing with Clinton. You know, he'd get in trouble with Monica Lewinsky and then send a cruise missile into someplace and blow up a bunch of innocent people. But with Obama, he plays the role better than anybody, pretending that he's so honest and forthright as he commits atrocities with his drone strikes against innocent people, but also total silence on Israel's continuing to steal more Palestinian land, drive the Bedouins off their ancestral lands. And you know what it's all about. This has nothing to do with religion. It's called real estate developments. That's all it is. It's the bottom line. And the bottom line right now is immorality.
Gerald, I think we can add on here. Coming back to the new TrendsJournal, you published a keynote. Confronting the truth is facing the enemy. Please tell us a little bit more here about finding the courage you talk to in a subtitle.
Well, you know, I attribute the glue to my success as a trend forecaster. You know, I came from a wonderful wonderful group of ancestors that, taught me everything that they knew that they could teach me, and I respected them very much. Not to say everything was perfect. These kind of, fairy tales going on. But, I knew that they knew and I didn't, and I learned from, my parents or aunts and uncles and any elder that I ran into. But what really changed my life was John Perkins from attackproof.com. And I've been a close combat practitioner now for over 25 years. Been in the martial arts for probably almost 35. Mm-hmm. And when you learn how to fight in close combat, if somebody's going to try to take your life, you have to kill them. It's just as simple as that. And there's no forms. You don't know what it's going to look like. It's not like the movies with this kung fu stuff. But what it's given me, Michael, is the courage to believe in myself, respect myself, and to understand that no one has the right to tell me how to think. I don't tell anybody else how to think. How dare someone try to force their beliefs on me? So, just as Mandela was talking about, that he would fight for freedom. Well, so will I. I'm not going to cow to power or of police or politicians. Who are they to tell me how I should live my life? Who's watching them? So when people find, if I was thinking of making Mandela a noun, and the noun would be, Mandela means courage and dignity. And when you look at Mandela, this guy was 27 years in jail. I see these stupid people, right? He was a communist, he was a terrorist. Guess what? If I was there and I was black and I was being brutalized by the white government, you're a terrorist when you try to defend your rights? That's moron crap. Oh, when he was going to be a communist? Oh, yeah, it was so great. Well, she'd been a white supremacist? So that's stupid BS. So the fact is, this is a man that spent 27 years in jail, and he came out dignified. Every time you saw him, he looked dignified and act dignified. So to me, courage, a Mandela should be within everyone if we want the freedom that we believe in. Mandela is no more a special person than you, Michael, or me, or anyone else out there that's listening. We're all Mandelas. The thing is, do we find it within ourselves?
I think you learned it from your mother. In the article I read, she was at one time looking at you and saying, I hate cowards.
Yeah, I remember.
And I think that's the point.
Yeah, and I remember hearing that, and I didn't even know what a coward was. And I'll never forget it. What does she mean? What percent? I didn't know. I was a kid. Why did she even say that to me? And I heard it more than once. And it was the kind of thing that I would never want to disgrace my mother. Yeah, I would never want to be a person that she would not want to call her son for doing something that would disgrace her. So I learned, and growing up in the Bronx too, and then moving to Yonkers, I was the littlest kid around. So, you have these laws in the United States, anti-bullying laws. How many times I got bullied? Maybe once. And then I beat the bully up. And then the bully after him and the bully after him. So I was always a scrappy kid. But then again, as I said, it becomes a point in your life. I have a definition of hell. And again, I don't tell anybody what to believe. The motto is think for yourself. And my definition of hell is taking that last breath of life and knowing that you lied to yourself and you're not the person who you said you were or could have been. And I don't want to go to hell.
Gerald, we have Ukraine, we have China, we have Japan, we have South Korea. We have ongoing problems and social unrest in the Eurozone. We have a hell of people on food stamps in the US. And we have corruption everywhere. And now the French and the Americans are going together to fight in Africa. When you look ahead, Gerald, what are your major predictions for 2014?
Actually, we're just putting them together now. Probably going out at the end of the week. One of them is, wake-up call. And the government's better start waking up. This is for real. And it's not going to end. You mentioned about what's going on in the Ukraine. Then you see what's going on in Thailand. Take a look over in Libya and Syria. How about Bahrain? You go around the world, throughout Italy and Spain, and the governments are cracking down more and more on the protesters. And I just want to stop at the Ukraine for a moment. And I was just on a Russian television channel out of Moscow. Not Russia Today, the Russian media out of Moscow. And they asked me about the Ukraine. And I said, why would they want to join the European Union? What are they fighting for? Oh, you want to be like Greece? You like that one, huh? Oh, how about 40% youth unemployment in Italy? Can't wait to get into the European Union? I got it. You want to be more like the Spanish, the Portuguese, and the Irish. All those people that are leaving their countries. Hey, look at Germany. How do I have to tell you? How many people are flooding in there from Spain and Greece and other parts of Europe? They're migrating out. Oh, and you want to join the European Union? It's a multinational scam. It's another way for the multinationals to grab another piece of a country with a lot of potential and drive them into becoming slavelandia, exploiting as many of their natural and human resources as possible and getting everything as cheaply as they can. So whether it's going to Russia or going to the EU, that's their choice. But the choice isn't being discussed. The options, as they would say, are not on the table. They're under the table. So the other trend we see in tying this all together, we're going to see a lot of volatility, of course, geopolitically. But our best estimate, Michael, and you're probably one of the first to hear this, is we're looking for economic madness to hit around March. And the reason being is that we believe that this tapering from the Federal Reserve is going to start to have to happen. You're already seeing the dollar. I mean, look at the dollar even losing against the euro. Why should the dollar lose against the euro?
Good question.
What's going on so great over there? And then you're seeing, the dollar lost, 16% against the yuan over the last 4 years. So they're going to have to stop this tapering. When they do, all of this hot money that's been flowing into all of these emerging countries is going to be pulling out. And then what you also have is an interest rate recovery in the United States. The only reason we have any recovery at all is that interest rates are at rock bottom lows. Same thing in Europe with the ECB. So when the tapering stops, the interest rates go up, the bond bubble explodes, and the fake recovery ends. Our best estimate is March. And again, there are so many hidden factors that we can't factor in. For example, I would have believed that the economy would have crashed in 2010. Did I know that the central banks were pumping in tens of trillions of dollars into the financial sector? How could you know? Did I know that they were rigging the LIBOR rate and the Forex rate to hundreds of trillions of dollars? So you don't know these things. So regardless of the unforeseeables, our best analysis is an economic shock to strike around March.
Okay, I'm with you with the tapering, but I have a slightly different opinion that I think that they try the tapering, but afterwards, probably starting about and through the ECB, I think we could see a lot more money printing. But that's another story.
I agree with you, Michael, and that's what's going to happen. They're going to try to taper, and it's not going to work.
Exactly.
And then they're going to start printing again more. And that's when you're going to see gold and silver prices spike. They're not going to be successful with it. So that's going to be the other end of it.
I guess you're right. The thing what we have in the discussions as well is if there is a plan already for next year that we see bail-ins getting closer.
Of course.
What do you think here?
Yeah, they'll steal our money any way they can. And so, they'll take your money as they do. They'll take it one way or another, either through austerity measures or taxes or robbing your bank account, as they did in Cyprus, to pay off the bad bets that the criminal cartels made. They'll do anything they can to steal your money. It's in front of everybody's eyes. So that's just another term and another method of robbery.
When we look back, I know that you mentioned this in the TrendsJournal as well, in the new TrendsJournal. The heroes of the year. Is this a Snowden for you?
Oh, yeah. You know, I was just mentioning to one of our people over here, I said, Trends Research should do the Man of the Year, or Person of the Year, rather. Well, I mean, what has the Pope done? Time Magazine makes him the Man of the Year. What has he done? Played Pope. And I'm Catholic. I could say that, you know. I could say anything I want, actually, about anybody or anything. I don't care what, you know, I'm just saying my own expression. I mean, you know, he's made some gestures, big deal. And but Snowden blew the cover on the corruption and going on in the United States and the abrogation of our rights and those of the rest of the world by people spying on us. Who the hell are these jerks that are looking at us? I want to look at them. I want to spy on them. If they could look at me, I want to look at them. Do you know what I do now? Every time I call up a friend or an associate, I always begin the conversation by saying, I know that the NSA or CIA or FBI are listening in, and my friend Frankie from Canarsie asked me to ask the person that's listening in, is his mother still having sex with dogs?
Good.
Who the hell are these people? Don't you know what it is, Michael? It's the military-industrial complex.
Yes.
It's all it is. It's another element of it. The country in the United States is going down the crapper every day. Poverty all around us. Hey, let's go into Central Africa. Oh, you know where that is. It's right next to, it's in between East and West Africa. Yeah, that's right, Central Africa. We got to stop terrorism there, because if we don't stop it over there, before you know it, it'll be in Dubuque, Iowa, I tell you. Who's making this crap up? I'll tell you who's making it up. A bunch of immoral people that range from the president to Congress to the police forces, the councilmen and mayors, the politicians, bureaucrats, and official authorities throughout the country, and in a country near you. Any country where they can get their people to go to war and make it easy for them to do it, they'll do. Look what's going on in Japan. Abenomics isn't working. They pumped an equivalent to what the Federal Reserve is pumping into our economy to try to boost it. They still could barely register growth. Oh, and now they're applauding that they're having some inflation. Isn't that wonderful? Yeah, they devalued your currency. Now it's costing you everything more to buy from overseas, and you're happy about it. You're an island. And what is he doing now? Oh, yeah, he's facing off against China. Ha! What a joke. What a joke. China will annihilate Japan off the face of the earth in a blink of an eye. But look at in South Korea. Oh, yeah, that other wonderful little joint, run by another dictator's daughter. Just like what's going on over there in Thailand. You know, the sister, the front for a billionaire tycoon. You know, it's everywhere. And they'll all take you to war.
You heard in Japan that they silently passed another law that if you, as a journalist, ask for a state secret, even if you don't know if it's a secret, you face up to 5 years in prison now. That's
right. You're a terrorist.
Exactly.
You're a terrorist. You know, so his popularity, Abe's popular, Abe. You know, these guys, there's sociopaths and psychopaths. Every one of them. Cameron. Yeah, every one of them. Look at them making a big deal over there about this, what is it, Renzi, the young guy in Italy? And then, you know who his hero is? Tony Blair.
Yes.
What a joke. Oh, yeah, he'll change things. Privatization, he says. Yes, stealing expensive public assets and selling them to your friends at pennies on a dollar and getting a kickback for it. Oh, yeah, he'll be great. So, no, it's one madman and mad woman after another.
Gerald, we had Dr. Paul Craig Roberts in an interview with us, and I know that he shared with you in the new TrendsJournal another article with the title "No Need for NATO. Stop spreading war and keep the money at home." Is that something where you would like to elaborate a little bit?
Oh, sure. Well, first of all, Dr. Paul Craig Roberts is a very good friend of mine, and he's quite a man. There's a Mandela. There's a man. This is a man that was the former Assistant Treasury Secretary under Ronald Reagan, and he didn't sell out. And he speaks his mind, boy, and nobody stops him. And he's known. And again, this is a guy that he'll anybody that tries to take his life, they got a real problem on their hands. And anyway, he and I were talking about this kind of waste of money that's not only coming out of the United States, but all the NATO partners. The Cold War is over. It's been over since the fall of the Berlin Wall. What's going on with NATO? Oh, NATO's in Afghanistan. NATO's become nothing more than an organization to spread United States hegemony and imperialism. All it is destructive. There's no need for NATO. What are you doing with bases over there in Germany with Americans? What are they doing over there in Italy and in several other 100 countries around the world? What's the matter with you? You still have an occupying force in your country? That's all they are. Under the guise of NATO? Oh, isn't that sweet? They're occupiers.
Gerald, we cannot finish this interview just talking a little bit about gold. I think the same as you mentioned with the Chinese and with yuan appreciating to the dollar by 16%, we hear more and more news about imports by China through Switzerland, through England, through Australia. They are importing a lot of gold. So if you see the sentiment toward gold for the time being, I guess if people throw it away at these levels, I think they will regret it in 2014. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Look, I'm in gold for, I don't trade gold, I buy gold. And I've been buying it since 1978. Again, I was there, Michael, when the market crashed in 1980. Matter of fact, I bought at the intraday high at $875.
Yes.
There was no China back then. There was no Russia. Everything east of the Berlin Wall was just, locked in behind the Soviet Union, the Iron Curtain. You didn't have this kind of trading going on in Singapore, becoming a hub for gold storage. Unheard of. India? Who heard of India before? Nobody knew anything about India in 1980. What I'm saying is it's a global market. They're only going to be able to manipulate it for so long. And as I said, our new Trends Journal, when the winter edition comes out, the top trends of 2014, I'm bullish on gold, and I believe the prices are going to start spiking after the economic madness hits around March, because they're going to they're going to have to attempt tapering, is my belief. Again, it's only, the way I see it. It's not going to work. When it proves that it doesn't work, they're going to pump more money into the system. When that happens, the obvious failure of their programs will no longer be able to be hidden. And that is what's going to set off the next gold bull run. And this time, people say to me, well, you said that gold would hit 2,000. I said, that's right. What did it hit? $1,921? What was I, $79 off?
Oh, shit.
Yeah. This time, it breaks 2,000 very easily. And from where it goes from there, we'll be able to get a better look at it as we start moving forward. But to me, gold is extremely undervalued, the most undervalued precious commodity probably on the planet.
Gerald, if people want to subscribe to the Trend Journal, we always put a link on this as well. Same for the German version of the Trend Journal, which is available in Germany as well. But with the new Trend Journal, it's out 52 fully pages, colored pages. You can have a written edition about it. You mentioned with the Winter Trend Journal, you come up with a forecast. Is there anything you can tell our listeners, not to make them worry, but do they have to take a bit more of personal protection?
Well, survivalism is very important. Again, all you had to do is look at 2013. What's the story that no one's talking about anymore? Cyprus. Hey, how many people went to Cyprus and thinking it was, another safe haven country to dump your assets? Kind of like the offshore Grand Cayman Islands over there, off in Europe. And all of a sudden, they can't get their money out of the bank. Here's the lesson. If you don't have your money available to you anytime you want, you don't have a middleman handling it, it's not your money. I learned that with the MF Global scandal when they robbed my funds. I was in segregated accounts and I lost it. I learned when 9/11 happened, when I had certificates of deposit and I wanted to cash them in. I couldn't cash them in because Wall Street was closed, Mr. Celente. But don't worry, you'll be able to get your money when Wall Street opens, certificates of deposit of financial instruments, and when they reopen, you'll be able to cash out of them. I had to wait a week. Who knew how long, maybe, who knows what could have happened. So, and the other thing, look what's going on in Syria. That's not a world away from Europe. And I'm sure you're feeling the implications continually. Look what's going on in Libya. Wonderful job NATO did. There's a wonderful NATO story for you. Oh, yeah, they brought peace and democracy to one of the most stable areas in North Africa and the richest. And now they've turned it into a hellhole. And then you're looking at what's going on in Spain, in Greece, in Portugal, in Ireland, and in Italy, all around you. The Ukraine, there's destabilization. Anything could happen. So again, as a close combat practitioner, you prepare for the worst. If the worst doesn't happen, you lost nothing. But if the worst happens and you're not prepared, you lose everything.
That was Gerald Celente, director of the TrendsResearchInstitute and publisher of the Trend Journal. Thank you very much for joining us on MetalWoche, Gerald, and we all wish you a very happy holiday season.
And thank you, and have Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you.
Thank you, Gerald.